Welcome, friends, to the world of Stoicism, a philosophy that inspires a creative lifestyle and enriches our inner world. Today, we explore the mysteries and depths of the 5 characteristics of those who say less but do more. In this fascinating journey through Stoic principles, we will reveal how these traits shape character and affect our lives. Let's dive into the world of philosophy, which can change your outlook on life. Determination. In a world where words can easily lose their value, Stoicism calls for determination in expressing thoughts and feelings. People who follow this principle realize the power of words and strive to use them with meaning. The determination of the Stoics is manifested not only in the strength and confidence of their statements, but also in the very choice of what they are ready to say. Stoics teach us to be attentive to how we formulate our thoughts and avoid empty verbal expressions. They understand that words spoken with determination can have a profound effect on others, and therefore try to use their speech to create positive changes. An important aspect of determination in Stoicism is also the ability to hold back in words in situations where many others might express their indignation or emotional reaction. Stoics understand that sometimes silence can be more powerful than a lot of words, and that determination is not always manifested in stormy statements, but also in the strategic choice of the moment to express their opinion. Thus, determination in Stoicism is not just power in words, but also awareness in their choice, effective use of speech to achieve goals, and wisdom in deciding when it is better to remain silent and when to speak. One of the outstanding examples of determination consistent with the principles of Stoicism is the story of Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and philosopher. In a difficult political and social environment, he demonstrated not only wisdom in words, but also decisive actions consistent with his steadfast beliefs. During his reign in the 2nd century AD, Marcus Aurelius faced numerous challenges, including wars on the borders of the empire, epidemics, and political intrigues. Despite the difficulties, Aurelius maintained Stoic principles, including determination in expressing his beliefs and actions. His determination was manifested in the fact that he refused many of the luxuries of imperial power, preferring a simple appearance and a modest lifestyle. He attached great importance to philosophy, especially ethics, and spent time thinking about moral issues. An important moment in the history of Aurelius was his attitude towards political opponents. Instead of resorting to drastic measures, he sought wise and balanced solutions. His determination was manifested not in military exploits, but in the ability to remain calm and clear-headed in difficult circumstances. In addition, in his personal notes, known as self-assessment meditations, Marcus Aurelius expressed his determination to pay attention to his inner development and self-control. He consciously practiced patience, humility, and the ability to accept uncertainty. Thus, Marcus Aurelius provides a living example of how determination in a Stoic way not only means the ability to speak wise words, but also to act in accordance with the principles of wisdom and justice in various spheres of life. Self-control. One of the most impressive examples of self-control in the context of Stoicism is the story of Epictetus, an outstanding Stoic philosopher who lived in the 1st century AD. His life serves not only as an embodiment of the principles of self-control, but also a vivid example of how Stoicism can affect personal happiness in difficult circumstances. Epictetus was a slave and then a free man, but in any situation he demonstrated incredible resilience. When he was a slave, his leg was cut off, and despite his physical suffering, he maintained inner peace and poise. His calmness in difficult circumstances has become the hallmark of Stoics' composure. When Epictetus became free, he did not immerse himself in the joys or disappointments of worldly freedom. Instead of letting his emotions take over, he continued to follow the principles of Stoicism, including the principle of self-control. He taught his students and followers not to succumb to passions and emotions, to control their reactions to external events, and to maintain harmony within themselves. An important moment in Epictetus' life was his attitude to material goods. He did not value external circumstances and material wealth, but instead focused on inner wisdom and virtue. This is a reflection of the principle of self-control in not allowing external circumstances to control internal emotional stability. Thus, Episcet's life is an impressive example of how self-control in the Stoic sense is not limited only to restraining external emotions, but also includes the ability to control one's inner world and values. In difficult circumstances, he continued to express joy and gratitude, which is a living example of how Stoic self-control can lead to deep inner well-being. The Stoics teach us that self-control also means accepting the uncertainty of life. It's not just the ability to come to terms with what we can't control, but also the willingness to take a fresh look at the changes that are happening around us. Accepting fate becomes part of this philosophy, emphasizing the importance of maintaining inner peace even in changeability. In Stoicism, self-control is also associated with controlling one's thoughts. This is not only the prevention of negative emotions, but also the active direction of one's attention to wise and constructive thoughts. The ability to control the flow of your thoughts becomes a way to enrich your inner world and build resilience. Patience in Stoicism is an important component of self-control. It's not just patience in the sense of enduring difficult moments, but also actively using them to better understand yourself and the world around you. Stoics claim that in difficult situations, there is an opportunity for personal growth and acceptance of the true meaning of life. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of dealing with instant impulses and desires, not just refraining from reacting to external stimuli, but also actively directing one's attention to a conscious choice instead of a reaction. This ensures harmony between inner desires and long-term goals. In Stoic self-control, maintaining emotional balance becomes key, saving not only in situations where everything goes according to plan, but also in times of trial. Stoics argue that the ability to feel emotions, but not be dominated by them, reflects a high level of self-control. Modesty. In Stoic philosophy, modesty becomes an integral part of character, giving life depth and wisdom. It's not just avoiding bragging. It's a conscious choice to focus not on yourself, but on more important values and relationships with the world around you. The Stoics teach us that modesty is not only an external expression, but also an internal quality. It manifests itself in the ability to appreciate the merits of others and respect their contributions. A humble person does not seek to emphasize his superiority, but instead recognizes the value and qualities of other people. An important aspect of modesty in Stoicism is the ability to listen. Humble people try to understand the point of view of others before expressing their own. They value the opinions of others and are willing to learn from the experiences of others, thereby demonstrating respect for the diversity of opinions and ideas. Modesty in Stoicism also implies the rejection of excess and luxury. This is not about giving up personal needs, but about appreciating things for their value, not for their external brilliance. Humble people invest their energy in spiritual growth, the development of virtues, and the pursuit of wisdom. An example of modesty in a Stoic context is the figure of Seneca the Younger, a Roman Stoic and philosopher. He was an advisor to Emperor Nero, but despite his prominent position, he preferred a simple lifestyle. Seneca tried to minimize his needs, encouraged self-restraint, and focused on spiritual development. One of the most inspiring examples of modesty in history is the personality of Mahatma Gandhi, an Indian politician and leader of the Indian national independence movement. Gandhi is a vivid example of how modesty can become a powerful tool for change and impact on society. Gandhi was known for his simple clothes and renunciation of luxury. He deliberately chose simple things, giving up material excesses in order to demonstrate his devotion to the ideals of simplicity and modesty. His lifestyle became a symbol of his philosophy, calling for his own renunciation and commitment to higher spiritual values. Gandhi's modesty was also expressed in his relationships with others. He attached great importance to respect for every person, regardless of their social status or origin. Gandhi aspired to be a man among men, and not to obey the social expectations of the era. A key moment in Gandhi's life was his participation in the Indian independence movement, where he called for confrontation without violence. This principle of nonviolent resistance, satyagraha, not only expressed his political philosophy, but also emphasized his modesty. Instead of resorting to force or violence, Gandhi preferred to emphasize moral and ethical principles. Gandhi vividly demonstrated that modesty is not only a personal quality, but also a force that can inspire and change society. His example emphasizes that modesty does not serve to reduce influence, but on the contrary, gives it credibility and supreme value. Responsibility for words. In Stoic philosophy, responsibility for words is an important aspect of character formation and impact on the world around us. In this philosophy, the word is seen as a powerful tool that carries with it exceptional power and therefore must be used wisely and consciously. Stoics teach that responsibility for words begins with awareness that every utterance has consequences. Words can both support and destroy relationships, shape public opinion, and have an impact on others. Responsibility for words implies understanding this power and consciously using it to create a positive impact. A key aspect of the responsibility for words in Stoicism is the correspondence of what is said to actions. Stoics emphasize the need for integrity and consistency in statements and actions. The responsibility for words lies not only in their study and comprehension, but also in the active application of the lessons learned in everyday life. An important aspect of the responsibility for words in Stoicism is the ability to avoid empty verbal expressions. Stoics call for clarity and precision in expressing thoughts, avoiding excessive emotionality or thoughtless statements. Being responsible for words means being attentive to how thoughts are expressed and how it can affect others. An example of responsibility for words can be seen in the personality of Cicero, a Roman orator and philosopher strongly inspired by Stoicism. His linguistic prowess was combined with a deep respect for moral principles. He called for careful choice of words and drew attention to how speech can influence society and shape values. Thus, in Stoicism, responsibility for words is the conscious use of language, taking into account its power and influence. It requires integrity, clarity, and consistency, thereby forming a conscious and wise way of communication that can inspire and bring positive changes to the world. Listening skills. In Stoic philosophy, listening is central to the formation of harmonious relationships and the development of personal character. For Stoics, listening is not just the perception of sounds, but also an active process of attentive perception of other people's thoughts and emotions. The ability to listen in Stoicism is based on the understanding that each person has his own inner world and experience, which can be rich and useful for our own spiritual development. Listening becomes a form of respect for others, recognition of their value, and a sign of tolerance. Stoics emphasize that listening involves actively perceiving not only words, but also the emotional tone that accompanies them. This means perceiving not only the superficial aspects of communication, but also the deep meaning that permeates the statements. Attention to intonation, gestures, and emotional nuances is an important aspect of listening in Stoic practice. Listening is also related to the understanding that we can constantly learn from others. Stoicism recognizes that in every conversation, there is an opportunity to enrich one's own knowledge and experience. Listening becomes the path to wisdom, allowing us to perceive different points of view and enrich our inner world. An example of the ability to listen in the context of Stoicism is the figure of Epictetus, one of the great Stoics. His dialogues with students often show active listening, attention to the needs and feelings of others. He called for tolerance, love for one's neighbor, and respect for the judgments of others. Thus, the ability to listen in Stoicism is an active, attentive, and tolerant process of perceiving the world around us. This is not only an effective communication skill, but also a fundamental character trait that promotes deep understanding and mutual respect.